Struggle is real, struggle is true. All my people stand firm, and I will stand with you.
Aloha and welcome to Defeating Can't podcast. In the studio on the island of Kauai in Kaloa, we have Denise MacDonald. Denise is one of my best friends in the world. We went to college together, ran on the same track team. My wife now was my girlfriend in college and her roommate in Twin Falls, Idaho, where we met, College of Southern Idaho. Go
Golden Eagles.
Golden Eagles. And so many, many years have gone by and gone through all the life's ups and downs. My other best friend is her husband, Jerry MacDonald. So we're going to dig into some history and some stories about Defeating Can't. So starting off with, I'd like to have Denise introduce yourself.
Awesome. Aloha. I got to say that because I'm in Hawaii now, huh?
You are.
And not in Las Vegas.
It's a rule. Oh, yeah. We forgot to mention Denise is on the Ninth Island in Las Vegas. And so go ahead, Dee.
Thanks, Andy. I have to start off and say I feel so lucky and blessed to be here and to do this and to be a part of it, especially seeing this start from the ground level, and come up. It's been really, really fun. Anyway, so yeah, I'm Denise. I consider one of Andy's longest friends. We were all thrown from different states and cities. We all decided on one little junior college in Idaho, and that's how we met.
Melting pot of Last Chance U.
Yes. So I got roommate with Angie Beswick, and Andy's wife, and away we went. We've been nonstop friends since then.
Denise currently is a Las Vegas Metropolitan police officer and has been for how many years?
This is my 20th year.
Pretty amazing.
That's cool. Yeah. So
looking back, we were in college running cross country and track. Denise was a phenomenal athlete, actually a national champion in, I think, the 3000, correct?
I think so.
Yeah. So then what I'm going to do is a fun story to start off with. What was it you said to the guy that ran from you when you were first on the force with Metro? I remember this story when he was trying to get away from you.
Yes.
And you had a foot pursuit, right?
Yes.
Can you tell that story really quick? Because it's a really good one.
I'm glad you have a good memory, but I do remember it. So I was definitely a rookie. This is probably in my first year on the department. As a rookie cop with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, working Southeast, swing shift. And I arrive on a family disturbance call where I see that a woman has been battered by her husband or boyfriend or something, but the boyfriend has left the scene. So I arrive kind of in the area, and I'm looking, and I have a description on my little computer in my car of what this guy looks like. And so I'm arriving in the area, and I'm being good. I'm looking out for him because I had information that he was on foot. So I'm looking for a guy that matches that description, and sure enough, I look over at a gas station parking lot, and there's a guy, and he matches the description. And I'm all by myself. There's other cops going to the call, but I'm by myself, and I see him. And I think I basically call it out. I pull into the parking lot to stop him, and obviously he sees me in my patrol car and uniform, and he doesn't want to go to jail. He knows what he did, and he takes off running.
Big mistake.
Big mistake. He didn't know who was stopping him. And basically I call it out. I'd start chasing him on foot, and it was a long foot pursuit, probably good half mile. And he was in his, a guy in his 20s, 30s. So was I. I was about 30, but still in good shape. And we ran and ran. And
that's so awesome.
He did not know he was running away from a distance runner, which I am.
And a national champion.
And that. And, but he kept running, thinking that he would be able to get away because I wouldn't be able to still keep running. But, oh, no, that's my specialty. I kept at it, and I started gaining on him. And I want to say, I think I did yell at him, yeah. No, you're running from. So I yell it out, And I think he looks back like, what the heck? And sure enough, I gain on him because he gets tired. He's gassed, and I caught him.
So what's your move? You clip the leg, you just dive on him?
I think we were in an alley.
Probably tired. Did you just stopped?
He just stopped, and and I just went and got my hands on him, put him against the wall like you see in the movies. All the same.
So
and
great.
I told him, I'm like, I think I said something like, I ran track, mother effer, and something like that. Like I had some little finisher.
Totally
to say.
fair. That's what you got to. One-liners back in the day were how movies were closed out and how, it's end of scene.
But I didn't. I was like, yeah, I caught him.
That's awesome.
But I was all by myself, and I could hear cops coming. I could hear the sirens coming, but they were still a distance. But I caught him all by myself, and he was the guy.
Lots changed since then, of course, in the world and in policing and everything. But I do think that story right off the bat speaks to her tenacity. And I want to bounce into what you're doing now at Metro, and maybe just maybe a short summary of your career and maybe some of the different roles you played, because I'm definitely an advocate of the career path, even though it's such a tough career path to take. It's so valuable. It's tip of the spear. For me, it's the most important thing, one of them in society right now, because you have to deal with all of it. And usually in an instance of chaos and emotional and mental instability or temporary, chaos, I call it. And so as part of the brand, mental health's an important component. I am an advocate for policing that is compassionate and has the ability to manage all those things. But obviously that's a loaded statement because it's so hard. Yeah. So fast forward, a little summary maybe of kind of your history at Metro and what you're comfortable talking about in the role you're in now.
Yeah. So like I said, I've been in with Metro for, this is my 20th year, which is really crazy to think. It's gone by in a flash. But like every cop, I started out in patrol. I did that for several years. And then I started doing undercover work, plainclothes stuff, because I just thought that was cool, at the time. So I did that for a couple of years. And then I actually went into the Vice unit, which everyone knows Vice is prostitution, and that's huge in Las Vegas. And actually what I did total undercover work as a prostitute.
That could be a whole nother episode.
It could. It really could. I do have more stories. The year I did in Vice, which I learned a lot. I learned a lot about me and what I wanted to do on the department. And I actually learned that I didn't really like it. So after doing Vice for about a year, I could do it, but I think I was just an okay undercover. But it just didn't ring true to me. It wasn't the right fit. And I'm glad I recognized that pretty quick. And by then I was married to my husband, Jerry, and we had a lot of great friends on the department, and they were able to get me out of that unit pretty quick and back into patrol, which again, I love. That's the heart of policing is in patrol. And you'll hear any officer say that patrol is just the heartbeat of any department, just put the patrol officer on the street in uniform. And so I did that for another 4 or 5 years, but I was on day shift. And by then I had been on for a good 12 years, and I knew I needed to do something else. And so my plan was I wanted to promote, like my husband did, to sergeant and see where that went. So I actually got the opportunity to go into internal affairs, which is a pretty hard position to go into in policing, because you're policing the police is what internal affairs is. But I did that because it's actually a good launching pad to promote, because you learn how to manage people and deal with those internal problems. So I did internal affairs, and it was actually a really good fit for me.
So back up a little bit. What'd you get your degree in?
Oh, I have my degree is in kinesiology.
All right, so a little bit of science there.
A little bit of, yeah.
But not necessarily really a match there. But
no, not for policing.
But it's fascinating where you go in after you get a degree and what you end up doing with that.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that helped. I think having a college degree and having that education helped me with doing, I was a detective in internal affairs, and helped me because it's a lot of writing, a lot of computer work and stuff, which it was hard, but I liked it. But I wanted to do something more, kind of more meaningful and dig deeper into things. And so my husband at the time was the FIT sergeant. FIT is a detail called the Force Investigation Team with Metro. And essentially that bureau, which FIT is in, investigates officer-involved shootings. And so there's FIT, and then the other side of that is CIRT, which is the Critical Incident Review Team, which is what I'm on now. And it's still an internal part of the department, but it's administrative. So we look at the administrative side of officer-involved shootings and people that die in police custody, which, as you know, that goes into, that's a hot button topic right now in the country for obvious reasons. Everyone watches the news and sees what's happening. But what I really love is that our department has been very progressive with how we go about it and investigate cases with such great detail. And that's what I really, really love. I can really dive into cases, investigate really important topics and in situations like an officer-involved shooting is very traumatic. And there's not been one officer-involved shooting that I have had that hasn't been traumatic for the officer involved, for all the witnesses. And
all of you guys work in the case.
All of us working it. I forget about that.
At all. I mean, that's the weight on you that I always think of. It's because you watch something on TV and you can detach from that actual reality of things that happen, whether even it's a documentary or it's a drama or whatever action movie. But real life is such a significant difference because you actually know the people, or you have to get to know them throughout the investigation, right?
Yeah. I really like it because for several reasons. It's just they're very dynamic and interesting cases to investigate. But at the same time, I feel like I have a really good sense of caring for people. When I get a case, the officers that I investigate, I feel like it's my duty to take care of them and to get them through this process of all the trauma that goes along with. And sometimes it's not good. Sometimes they messed up, but it's helping them learn from it, helping the department learn from it and improve policies and training and getting better. I think that's what I really like is because I can see the growth that we've had over the last, I've been in the unit for over 5 years now. And I can see the growth.
Yeah, that's an amazing aspect, I think, of policing right now because it's what we're all demanding. I mean, as people on the outside, taxpayers, you saw it throughout all of the protesting and everything we saw, and legitimately it was a request for change.
Yes.
And so it's neat that I have a friend that's doing great stuff in the world. And you're still in that role.
I still am.
You have work to do, time to go. You're still a couple, 3 years left.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm sure you've got goals and aspirations for that remaining work.
I feel like I've really fine-tuned. I've just gained those years of experience of being in the unit. I feel like every case is better, and I can help all the employees going through these cases get through it better, and give out a better product. It's taken years and I really like it. And I have, again, a couple of years left and who knows, there's still other things that could happen in 2 years or 2.5 years. But if I had to stay here, I would be very happy. I would be very content because I have an amazing team at work too. My sergeant, my detectives, all my chain of command is really, really great. And so I'm very blessed. I'd love to know more about you and why we're sitting here in this little office.
The little closet.
The little can closet is what we call it, right? I just want to talk about, just because it has spoken so loud to me, how your message of can. I love that I have stickers everywhere and feels like a million shirts at home and sweatshirts. I'm wearing one right now because I love it. And because it's so simple, but it's a constant reminder of like, you can do it. It's like, keep going. You're doing these little steps right now. You may feel like absolute crap today. And I didn't want to get out of bed, or I didn't even want to do this workout, or I'm hating these days right now at work because this person sucks or something. there's always something that's troubling us, but it's like if you just keep telling yourself that you can do it, and whatever it is, but just make a decision and do it. It helps, and it's just so positive. And I just want to give a shout out to you that I love the brand. I love the messaging. I love that you're doing this podcast, because that's the essence of Spirit of Can. It's promoting that positivity and the growth. It's like one person gets it, or it speaks to one person, and they use that in their life, and they tell another person. It's that paying it forward kind of process.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that, and that's exactly what it's all about. The whole branding concept, honestly, is just to nudge people forward. It's
right.
Just to hopefully remind you of more of the positive aspect of defeating can't in your mind, because unfortunately we are wired to start with can't until we gain that level of confidence. So hopefully with the podcast, I've struggled to tell the stories about the different nonprofits and cool things I like to get involved with. And hopefully this will be a platform for that.
Yeah. So I think I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want, because we were talking earlier or yesterday about this podcast and the name of the podcast. And you called it the Defeating Can't podcast.
Yeah. And
I think I was wondering if it was the right name.
I don't know if it's the right name.
Right. And it might change, and that's okay.
Change. Yeah.
But I think, like me and everyone else listening, is why defeating can't? Why does that speak to you? And why is that so important now in the future?
I think it's just exactly how I leveraged the can concept originally, as I was writing it down. So back to being an athlete or sports. I raced bikes for a long time in Las Vegas, and then
he's an amazing cyclist, by the way.
And I don't remember what year when that was, but I just had a series of crashes in the Peloton, and I was completely terrified of doing it again at one point. I had, it's almost like PTSD. It's silly that it would, I don't
even think I knew this.
In a sport. But yeah, I just was super nervous about getting back in, because you're inches away from each other, and a crash can be pretty epic with broken bones. And I went to see a sports psychologist that actually, through Angie, it's funny, that sounds pretty fancy, but it was a friend we knew who was the sports psychologist to the UNLV golf team. And we met in the Crate and Barrel because his kid was across the way in Gymboree, one of those like gymnastic studios.
Right, yeah.
And so I got a free session at the Crate and Barrel.
No way.
Yeah, on couches in there. It was hilarious. Angie was, picking out some, I don't know what you pick out at Crate and Barrel, barrels and crates.
Right.
And I was talking to the sports psychologist, and so he taught me about what's in your toolbox. It's a funny concept, but like picture on the golf team making a putt. You have to separate all the negative thoughts, all the can't out of your mind in order to engage. It's the most important thing in engagement in sport, or even in your job. When you sit down at your desk to do something, you cannot have can't rattling around in your brain. It has to be, you have to be focused. And especially, let's say you're about to engage in a contest, or you're going on stage. So he taught me that I needed to have kind of a word or concept in my toolbox I could turn to. And the funniest part is I described to him what it's like being in a criterium or in a bike race. And, there's like, tight turns, it's lots of speed. In the last 1,000 meters or so, you engage or you don't engage, because if you try to get to the front, there's a chance you're going to get taken down, or you're going to go down or something. And you have to put all that out of your mind. So long story short, he came up with salmon for me. So salmon swim upstream, and they don't stop for anything. That's what they do. So hilariously, salmon became my cue word for getting my brain back into it. Like, I kind of just repeated it over and over again. And it was our session thinking about, if I have that in my brain, I know what I'm supposed to do. You have to get to the front. And I,
Wow.
Denise is kind, but I was a fairly average. I don't have a lot of podiums. I was pack fodder in a elite pro field, but I had a blast and I loved doing it.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the can brand, it became a word I wrote down, and it became salmon to me. It became the thing circling all the way back to what we've just been talking about, the nudge forward that I needed, because the way my brain works is I trend towards can't.
It's
And
a
so-
natural
Yeah.
thing
It's
to
the sweet
think
spot.
that way,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, for
Yeah.
humans, unfortunately.
Right.
So can was so that I could engage, but it was more so in life. And so I was writing that on goal cards for work at the hospital when Angie said, "Oh, I'm seeing you write this down all over. Why don't you do something with it?"
So you talked about mental health, which really speaks to me, because I think that speaks to everyone, young, old, whatever occupation, whatever you're going through. I think everyone has either someone with it, they're experiencing it themselves, but it speaks to me because it's so prominent, or you see it so much in policing, and it's how do we help people? How do we, combat it? And there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. I like that you touch on it. You can ask for help.
Yeah, they can't ask for help stuff.
I love it.
But
I absolutely love it.
all of us, like Bill Burr said, you just stuff it deeper down inside you.
Yeah, right.
And that's what we pretty much all did until it became, even pop culture. We're all talking about it now. It's all something that is, because it's the common denominator of the human experience.
Yeah.
I talk about like Maslow and stuff like that.
Yes.
Within health, safety, love, and esteem, you're going to have trauma and drama. It's unavoidable. So you're going to have loss. You're going to have these things.
Yes.
And I think that it's the fair thing to be able to have an experience with it and be able to talk about it, to be able to, because I think it's how you move forward and defeat can't in your mind. A lot of the time is that these experiences you have shut you down for a period of time, if not a partial shutdown throughout your life. And you should be able to express it and talk about it. For me, it should be like the dentist. You should go twice a year,
Yeah.
and it should be as common as the dentist.
Wow.
Let me back up and say I have no clinical background, just a passion for it.
Yeah.
And I feel like you need to check in a couple times a year with somebody. It would be helpful if it was a trusted professional, because you've got a neutral party to do this with. So it's not possible because it's not a priority in the insurance and medical industry. Therapists, behaviorists, they don't make the kind of money that's the reimbursement, the receipts, and the insurance reimbursement is nowhere close to these other medical fields. We're talking about something everybody else is talking about, but if we can help inch it forward, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I would love to. I've always pushed for more mental health on island, or access to it. I don't want it to appear that we have the answers or that we're going to fix something, because there's all these people doing incredible work
Yes.
in the field already, and they're on the front lines. They're like you. They're already tip of the spear in the crisis and dealing with it. So at this time, I'm a messaging platform like many of us, but man, I have a lot of passion for it, as you
I
can
know
see.
you do.
And I really just want to, I just want to see more access, bottom line.
Yeah.
And I want kids to leverage tools and concepts before they get to an age where they're not understanding what's happening to them.
Yes.
That's another huge aspect. But I really love trending towards positive psychology.
Yes.
First, Matt calls it, so Matt Shackley, who's part of the Science of Can team, Matt and I can just go on for hours talking about what he coined the phrase of preventative mental health. Maybe someone else probably says it too, but that's what he likes to call it, preventative mental health. And I like that
That's great.
term, because that's how I see it, is if you can teach kids, or all of us, if we learn more about how our minds work, and then what's a safe and comfortable way to address the things that are happening to us, then that's the way forward. And most of us are believing things that are absolutely not true about ourselves. I do it all the time. I'm an expert at like laying in bed. And someone told Angie one time, it's like the shitty committee comes and has a meeting, like in the middle of the night.
Shitty committee.
It is the shitty committee. And there's a bunch of them sitting around the table telling you every reason.
We are going to convene at 11 o'clock at night in your brain.
That's exactly what happens.
That's great.
Yeah, literally, like there's Robert's rules.
And they're like, meeting adjourned.
Yeah. They don't adjourn, though. They just,
right.
No, there's hardly bathroom breaks. They just keep telling you how the cant is taking over.
Oh,
and so,
that's great.
So, yeah, it goes back to, for me, just a messaging platform and things like the podcast, just expressing it, talking about it, and different creative ways of overcoming it. We've got people on island that are doing wonderful things to express the importance of, awareness about mental health, access to it.
Life is a ride, Andy.
It is.
Life is a ride. And I just love your stickers, by the way. Because they're colorful, which I really love color. That really speaks to me. But just different, candemic. So that was ingenious.
I didn't think of that. Someone else did, but it was like a perfect fit.
We've been talking for a little over an hour, but you're going to edit stuff out.
Oh, big time. But not like,
well, just keep doing this. Keep working at it. Cause this is like a skill,
It is.
Like anything. It's you
you
make an error or you fail. Like, cause we were talking about confidence and like how to build it. And it's like the whole process of being confident is to fail and be okay with that. Like he says in Moneyball, it's a process. It's a process.
That's a perfect line.
There's so many good quotes in it. It's
Yeah.
like, it's a process. It's a process.
It's a good Brad Pitt
And if you
movie.
think about that, it's really true. You're never going to be perfect on day one. On
if you
anything.
even if you were, it would be too easy.
Yeah.
That would be
And what's the fun in it, too?
superhero boring.
Yeah.
Like
Way
too easy.
boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to do it anymore. You're like, oh, I mastered it on day one.
Yeah.
You're going to throw it out. This is boring. This is
Exactly.
I'm going to move on to something else.
Yep. Yep.
But if you try something, you fail, you're like, dang it, I want to get it. And then you want to try it again.
Yeah.
And you get a little bit better, or you figure out a different way to attack it.
I agree. No, that is exactly.
And it's fun, but it's fun in that process of learning.
All right. So,
Our send-off for episode 2.
Episode 2 send off.
I love it. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you,
Of course,
D-Mac,
you
for
asked
being
me,
on.
and I'm not shy. Of course, I'm going to say yes.
Love it. It's perfect.
Because you're amazing, and you breed
Breed.
amazing. You bring amazing people into your life, and that want to be around you.
We're going to close it out
I
with
think
my
that's what I
breeding
like.
behavior related to Can.
There you go.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, D.
Thank you, Andy.
Struggle is real, struggle is true. All my people stand firm, and I will stand with you.